In the world of Jujutsu Kaisen, strength defines everything. And standing at the very top of that world is Satoru Gojo, a sorcerer so powerful that he changed the balance of the entire Jujutsu world. But the real story of Gojo isn't about his strength. It's about what happens when someone becomes too strong for their own world. The strength of a sorcerer decides their status, their influence, and sometimes even their worth. Entire clans build their identities around cursed techniques passed down through generations. And in that world, one person stands far above everyone else. Satoru Gojo is often called the strongest sorcerer alive. His abilities are so overwhelming that they reshape the balance of the entire Jujutsu world. Curses fear him, sorcerers rely on him, and the higher-ups tolerate him only because they cannot control him. But Gojo's story isn't just about strength. It's about the burden that comes with it. From the moment Gojo was born, the balance of power in the Jujutsu world changed. Possessing both the six eyes and the limitless technique made him something extremely rare. A sorcerer whose potential was almost unmatched. This meant that Gojo didn't just become strong, he became the strongest, and that distinction changes everything. Most people think power brings freedom. But for Gojo, power creates distance. The stronger he becomes, the harder it is for anyone else to truly stand beside him. This isolation is one of the central themes of his character. Because when someone exists far above everyone else, they stop living in the same world as everyone around them. Gojo understands this better than anyone. While he often appears carefree and arrogant, that personality hides something deeper. Gojo knows that his strength separates him from others. Few people can challenge him, understand him, or even fight alongside him as equals. This is why his relationship with Suguru Geto becomes so important. During their time as students, Geto was one of the only people who could truly stand beside Gojo. They shared the same missions, the same ideals, and the same belief that sorcerers existed to protect others. For a moment, Gojo wasn't alone. But when Geto eventually abandons those ideals, it becomes one of the most defining moments in Gojo's life. It forces him to confront a harsh truth. Being the strongest doesn't mean you can save everyone. Even with all of his power, Gojo couldn't stop the person closest to him from falling down a different path. This realization shapes the way Gojo approaches the future. Instead of trying to control the Jujutsu world through his own strength, he begins focusing on something different. The next generation. Characters like Yuji Itadori and Megumi Fushiguro represent Gojo's hope that the world can change. Because Gojo understands something important. No matter how strong one person becomes, real change cannot come from a single individual. It requires a generation strong enough to reshape the system itself. This idea reveals the true role Gojo plays in the story. He isn't just the strongest sorcerer. He is the bridge between the old world and the new one. The traditional Jujutsu society is rigid, controlled by conservative leaders who fear change. Gojo stands in direct opposition to that structure. His strength gives him the freedom to challenge the system in ways no one else can. But he also understands that his power alone cannot fix everything. That's why he chooses to teach. By guiding the next generation of sorcerers, Gojo hopes to create a future where the Jujutsu world is no longer defined by outdated traditions and corrupt hierarchies. In other words, Gojo's greatest goal isn't simply to remain the strongest. It's to build a world where being the strongest isn't necessary. And that's what makes his character so fascinating. Satoru Gojo isn't just the peak of power in Jujutsu Kaisen. He's the person trying to ensure that the future doesn't depend on someone like him ever existing again.